Hi, my name is Michael Neff. I'm the founder and director of Gears Sports, and today I'm with my good friend Mickey Demorat. Mickey, you have played in a U.S. Open. You've made the cut at PGA Tour events. You've played on several Corn Ferry tournaments. You have Monday qualified on several events. You're a wonderful player, um, and today I just built Mickey the very first set of Gears Ovvio irons. So we're gonna I want to interview you
Yeah.
about this. About tell me what you're currently playing and what's in your gamer bag right now.
Well, I've been using the TaylorMade irons for ever since I was in college, and I've been playing the Dynamic Gold X100s ever since I can remember, since high school days. And
The tour
the
issue
tour
one.
issue,
Yeah. Yep.
yeah. And every time I've been getting new irons, I've been using them, and just because I've been familiar with it, and so I use the 760 irons, which are a little bit of an older model. In
You've
the
had those for how
seven
long?
iron,
Like you're super
yeah,
like do not
20,
change
yeah,
stuff. Like
probably six years at least,
yeah. So
six,
you've been
7 years.
which I mean, if you were to see
Yeah,
these irons, I mean, their grooves
yeah,
are gone. This guy just shot 62 in a
yeah.
Florida
The seven
Jupiter
iron head
event.
is kind of coming off, and I had to
The
go to
wedge
the
shaft's a little bent.
770s because they were not worn as much out in the short irons. But like, yeah, they're a little bit bent, and like, I mean, I'm getting some inconsistent flights just because the grooves are a
Yeah.
little worn down.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't like to switch a lot just because it's like what I'm comfortable playing with. That's what if I'm playing well in the tournaments, I just kind of keep it rolling.
Yeah, I've noticed that about you. You don't like
Yeah,
to change. You're
no,
you're kind of a little superstitious
a
about
little bit.
that,
Yeah,
so
yeah. I just I like to just I don't when I make a swing, I want to see it doing kind of what I envision it doing, and I don't like to think about my swing too much on the course. I just like to go out
yeah.
and score. My game
Yeah.
is all just about scoring and just finding a rhythm. I'm a field player,
Yeah.
and I just like to get in a rhythm of hitting a bunch of greens and making putts and
Yeah.
hitting the ball long off the tee. That's kind of been my key to scoring, just
Yeah.
getting the par fives and making the putts. When I get hot with the putter, that's when I play good
Yeah.
golf.
Yeah.
And so I just, when my irons are good, then that's when good things are going to happen.
Yeah. So you're a TaylorMade staff guy.
Yeah,
You've been playing, so this is the first new set of irons that
yeah,
I built these for you. This is the TaylorMade Piece 7 CB,
yes,
which is probably the closest thing that they've come out with since that 760 head. Would you say that's, I mean, look wise,
yes,
feel wise?
yes, yeah, definitely. I mean, looking down on it, it looks pretty clean. It doesn't. It's pretty thin on the top line,
Yeah.
and even on the bottom, it's like, I feel like, you can definitely, for me, I can feel like I can hit a little draw or a little fade with these
Yeah.
and control it pretty clean. The 760s was my favorite irons just because they were going the right distance for me, and distance control is a huge part of my game. Is just like into the wind. I'm in Florida a lot, so into the wind, downwind, like just knowing when I make a swing that's gonna go the right number. Because if I can get the right direction, then it's gonna be pretty tight for the most part. So
Yeah.
like I'm not, you know, like today we didn't see anything that really jumped or came out of the air too quickly, even into the pretty good breeze we had
Yeah.
today. Like everything was within 1 or 2 yards of being pin high,
Yeah.
which I was really happy about, just seeing that right out of the first day with them.
Yeah. One thing I did with these was, so I built these for you. This is the new Gears Ovio. This is a 125X. It's graphite. You've never played graphite
I've
before,
never played
and
graphite.
you're kind of like,
Yeah,
I don't know about this Nipper.
yeah. I mean, I'm used to just seeing the tour issue dynamic gold steel, just because I swing pretty hard at
Yeah.
it, like, and I've always been a pretty long hitter. I can hit a 7 iron 190
Yeah.
for a pretty full swing,
Yeah.
which is pretty long. So like,
Yeah.
for me looking at something like a graphite, I thought like, oh well, if I go at it, it might be good for half shots, but if I go at it, I'm just going to be losing the control,
Yeah.
is what I thought,
Yeah.
because I thought like the face would be, you know, opening or closing too much through the ball, and I was going to see it going like this.
Yeah.
So it was like pretty interesting just to like be able to, even starting out on the range, comparing it to what I was using, seeing like kind of the dispersion actually dial in and not seeing the real left or big right misses,
Yeah.
just in the first few swings, which I was
Yeah.
like, okay, that's interesting. I can actually go at it pretty hard, and it's going still pretty straight.
Yeah, and so we saw that dispersion on TrackMan. We
Yeah.
hit some shots on TrackMan, and your dispersion really tightened up. The other thing I did here was I bent them all to the same lie angle.
Right.
So these are all 61 degrees.
Yeah.
So you shot 64 today.
Yeah.
It was the easiest 64 I think I've ever seen. You parred a couple par fives
Yeah,
even.
it could have been better.
And this is the first time that we've ever built a set of these irons. We just
Yeah.
got this. Our graphics are not on this.
Yeah.
This is a prototype, so we're just kind of in this. We're finalizing the testing, but this is our gamer. This shaft has the most torque of any 125x in its profile. So what you're playing with, the torque is right around 1.8, I think, or 1.7, something like that. And this is right around 2.8, which is very high torque for an iron shaft at this weight and flex. Did you feel like it was loose at all, or what did it feel like to you?
Honestly, like when I first saw it, I thought it was gonna feel a lot different than what I was using, just because I think graphite is gonna be like really light. I thought it was gonna feel light. I thought I was gonna be swinging it, losing a bit of control. But honestly, like it feels like really similar to what I had been using. Like the weight of it, like not very like. I like the feeling of a little bit of a heavier club, just so I can feel the club head a little bit. I feel like I can feel where the face is at a little bit more. And, when you were explaining the torque, I was like thinking that it was going to feel like the shaft was moving around through the swing, but I didn't feel that at all. I felt like it was staying very stable through the ball. And what the benefit of a little more torque was that, as I moved my hands pretty quickly through the ball, I wasn't seeing the face shut down quite as quickly.
Yeah.
Which for me, my miss, usually being a bit of an overdraw, I was very impressed with just like, okay, it feels like when I make a contact, I make a swing, like what it was doing what I felt like I was doing was always what the ball came out, looking like the ball flight should have been in the air. So, but as far as like just the feel, like, I mean, I felt like it wasn't too soft at all.
Did it feel brittle? Like we hear that sometime, like where the really heavy, stiff graphite feels a little brittle and hollow.
No, I think for me, like I said, like when I'm taking this thing back and I'm loading it at the top, like I feel like I can feel like I know where the weight of the club is, and I feel like I can, when I feel like I can go at it hard is when I'm swinging my best, and like. I didn't have to back off anything. Like you always tell me, like keep swinging, keep rotating, like go at it hard, like don't be letting off through the ball. And every time I hit this pretty hard, I mean I hit this, I think like 180 on one of the shots for an 8-iron's pretty good, and it didn't really move much left or right. I mean, it didn't feel
we
like
just didn't see a lot of movement.
It felt like
you were able to still hit your draw though.
Yeah, I was able to turn it over if I needed to. For sure.
We maybe saw only one or two over draws all day, and we didn't see. We saw one ball, I think, on the second hole that maybe didn't turn over as much as you wanted.
Yeah,
but it still hit the green, and your distance control was great.
Because oftentimes for me, like if I'm aiming inside the edges of the green, and I know I make a full swing, like I know it's not going to be curving off of the green. If I aim inside the green and either have a little draw or a little fade, at worst case, it's going to be on the edge or inside the green. So I'm going to be putting now. So as before, I might have curved it 40, 50 feet at times, to a pin. It might have over curved, and then I'm still have a good short game, but I'm going to make bogey, 3 or 4 out of 10 times. Whereas I can always 2-putt from 30, 40 feet, or make one once in a while.
Yeah.
So, like, from coming from a pretty stout, like heavy shaft for my whole career for irons, like I thought the adjustment was pretty easy today. Like I felt like I could go play a tournament with these tomorrow and have my distance control just as good as ever, if not better, just because the spin is not ballooning or jumping at all with this club.
So we're going to put these in. We're going to actually put them in this week. You've got a couple tournaments coming up and a qualifier for the Valspar, so we'll keep
Yep.
close tabs on you. But
Yeah, I'm
so
excited.
thanks. I hope
Thank you.
my thought, you have high closure rate,
Right.
and you've always just kind of the way you've always been. You hit that draw. So I felt like if we went a little more torque, but we didn't lose the weight and the feel.
Yes.
We launched a little higher with a little less draw, and yeah, that's kind of what I thought. That's how I built this. I think it. I just that's you put on a clinic today. I thought that was special.
And
like you really did hit it good.
I mean, one of the hardest shots I had today was on number 9 because it was like 150 to a back pin right into the breeze up the hill, which is my hardest shot that I have.
Yeah.
And for me, it started right on the flag, had like a little bit of overdraw, which I know on my old shot would have probably gone another 20 feet left and ballooned up in the wind and came up like front left, but it got all the way to the middle of the green, into a pretty good breeze. Like it stayed in the air nicely and it got like pretty close to pin high. So I had 20 feet, which was a really good shot on that hole as compared to that thing the wind hitting it more at the end and having like 40, 50 feet.
Yeah.
So
I thought it still came off kind of
mid-launch, but
not too spinny though.
with enough spin to like keep it in the air, but not enough
spinny.
to where it's gonna where I have to start changing my swing to try to keep it out of the wind. I felt like I could make my same swing without like having to adjust. So the more I can keep my swing pretty similar for all types of conditions, for me, that's going to be a lot better in the long run. Just hitting more greens and just having more chances for birdie.
Well, dude, I think a pretty solid 64 with on the maiden voyage of this golf club.
Yeah.
The first set ever built. We're proud to be that TaylorMade's our largest customer, and they gave us these clubs to build for you. And I'm really excited to take a look at the results. Now, we also tested the Ovvio driver shaft.
Yes.
So your club head speeds ranging in between 123 and 126, which is above PGA Tour average, pretty fast.
Hard. Yeah, definitely.
And you hit a little cut, pretty straight ball.
Pretty straight. Yeah, I like to see the ball fall a little bit to the right, if anything.
Yep. And so we tried the Ovvio 7X green.
Yeah.
That was the first one we tried. We saw that kind of draw.
Yes.
A little bit more than normal.
It was easier for me to turn it over.
Easier for you to turn it over.
What I've been used to, right?
And then we switched to the blue 7X, which was really good.
Really nice.
Really nice. And then what we saw, a little higher, less hook, a little higher.
A little higher.
Yep.
It stayed in the air a long time. It had pretty good amount of spin to keep it in the air with the flight, but not so much that it was losing distance at the end.
Yeah.
I mean, I hit it. The first hole, the par 5, was a little dogleg right, and I aimed down the left center and just swung hard, and it had a little bit of a bleed.
Yeah.
But when it hit the ground, it took off. So it was more of a flat fade with like a mid trajectory, maybe a little higher than mid, which for me, I like to see that because now I don't have to try to lean back to get it in the air. I can stay pretty much level and turn, and it's shot up in the air. And then the next hole, it was a little dolly left, and I gave it a little bit more right hand just to see what it did, and it held its line. I drove it over the green, which was 320 just to the middle of the green, and it bounced over the back, and that wind was a little off the left, so I was able to hold it into the wind and just pretty much a dead straight ball.
Yep. And then we went to our 65X in the green, which is a little lower torque there at the end, like the last few holes, and that was like you were able to do just about everything.
Yeah, I was able to. I tried a couple where I kind of aimed down the right edge just to wait on it a little bit and let it release, and I got that thing tumbling a little bit right to left just to see that I could work it that way.
Yep.
And then for fun, I aimed down the left edge where the water was right on the left side, and then just rotated, held the hands off a little bit, and it peeled back just like I thought it was. And then I could hit the little hold straight one if I wanted to too. So with my current driver, very right bias,
hazardous, really good, but
definitely like I have to really work extra to get the draw. So it's nice to have a little bit of an option now where it's like, my stock shot's going to be little bit of bleed to the right, but I can stay back and give it right a little bit more right hand and not worry about it snapping so much off the left. I didn't hit one single ball with any drivers today that
I don't think we missed
was left
one. I mean,
no.
the dispersion I thought
left center
was tighter than your gamer.
Yes. Yeah, because I know for mine, I've played some tournaments where it's like I almost try to do so much and then I get like a little smothered draw almost because I'm trying to do so much and get away from my swing. So now I can make a little bit of adjustment with the setup or ball position just to change the flight. I mean, it's not moving much. It's only, 20 feet right or left, but just having that confidence, knowing that like when I make the correct swing, like I didn't look up and was surprised by the result every time. It was doing almost what I was feeling with my hands, which was, gives me a lot of confidence.
Well, we're gonna put these in the bag and see what happens. The next week. You got Q School coming up this fall. You've got some tournaments this summer. We want to wish you the best of luck. We are really pulling hard for you. It's great to work with you, and I think the world of you. I thought you hit it. I thought you put on a clinic today, man. These were really. I'm being a little biased because I have a story to tell, right? But
no,
I didn't say anything. I just gave them to you, and I built them how I thought you needed them to be built, and you just went to town.
Second hole of the day, I hit 9-iron to 2 feet, then another 8-iron to 3 feet, and it was you don't do that often, right? With irons, I mean usually 10 feet's pretty good. So
today.
I'm excited to just see what this can do for me, and improve my weakness a little bit. And keep the strengths and just keep getting better.
I think just for you and this mid irons, like we really working hard on par threes for you. That's where we really need to work. And I think seamless tech like Ovvio has and really consistent. What we saw today, I mean, that your mid iron play today was off the charts. That's as good as I've seen.
And if you get a mid long iron in your hands, if you're like I had a 4-iron in the last hole from 230 and we were hitting a little draw that only drew about 10-15 feet left of the hole, which I mean, if you can hit it there with a 4-iron and get down to 3 from there all day, you're gaining shots in the field, maybe even make one of them. So
the last hole we had four into the wind. Your usual miss is kind of an overdraw. We had 4 balls on a par 5 with a 4-iron, and you hit all 4 of them within 15-17 feet. And the dispersion's just really coming
tight.
in.
It was very tight.
Really
usually it's into that wind. It's going to be hard for me not to keep it from whipping that way. But I felt like even with the ball a little above my feet, I could just release it pretty full. And even with my hands whipping through the ball pretty far, the face was staying pretty square through the ball. So it's just nice to know I can go at it.
You can go at it.
And give myself a putt.
All right, Mick. Thanks, man.
Thank you, bro.
Take care.
Thank you.